Geoff Crockford. I started life in a sense in a university department as an occupational hygienist, and about 25 years ago people started complaining about headaches and various symptoms when they were working with visual display units and other electrical equipment. As an occupational hygienist, my job was to try and find out what it was that was causing discomfort. And I found that we could not, in fact, identify what the problem was. And we found that the only people who could do anything were in fact dowsers, who appeared to be able to respond to things that were coming from visual display units, from television screens and so on. They put these rather nice quartz crystals on top of the VDUs, and then the operative would feel much happier. Now this was not a satisfactory situation from the point of view of a scientist and occupational hygienist. So I decided that I had to learn how to dowse so that I could actually see what they were seeing. Spend a weekend learning how to dowse, and in point of fact it's one of the best educational experiences that I've ever had. I went unable to dowse and actually came back able to dowse. Within minutes of arriving back home, I was out in the garden, I was down the lane, I was busily dowsing all the things that are around. Anyhow, as a scientist, it's one thing being able to demonstrate that people are responding to something. You've got to be able to find out what that something is, and you've got to be able to control it, at least eventually. My first step was to investigate the phenomena of dowsing and try and put it onto a scientific basis. And that was the first challenge and quite an important step. And I then spent something like 2 years gradually working out what it was, and it came to fruition in a sense when I managed to produce what is now called the diamagnetic and paramagnetic theory of biolocation. You'll notice that I refer to two forms of magnetism, and I don't refer to ferromagnetism, which is the one that most people are familiar with. They get their magnets and they stick them on their fridges. The dowser does not respond to that form of magnetism. They only respond to what is called paramagnetism and diamagnetism, two forms of Faraday, in fact, discovered when he was working on magnetism. Having discovered the physical agent, the next important step was to identify the sensory system in the body that responded to them. I found that the sensory system for the diamagnetic field was actually in the head. You shine a beam of diamagnetic magnetism at the body and there's no response. But if the head goes through it, then you get the typical dowsing response with the change in muscle tone. Similarly with the paramagnetic field, if you shine a beam of paramagnetic magnetism at the head, there's no response. But if it hits the body, then you get the typical dowsing response again. The two are easy to demonstrate because if you've got a paramagnetic source, all you've got to do is to put your hands into it and you get the dowsing response. If it's a diamagnetic field, you note with putting your hands in, you have to take the body forward until your head is in, and then you get a response. To the practical Biolocator, it's fairly easy to distinguish the two forms of magnetism. The one which we tend to use most frequently, of course, is the paramagnetic field, because the magnetic field of every material is special to that material. Copper has its own magnetic field, iron has its own magnetic field, glucose in the body has its own magnetic field, and so on. By using biolocation techniques, it's possible to analyze a material using the magnetic fields. When we come on to Comet Ison, you will see that we've analyzed Comet Ison by using the different magnetic fields. We can identify the water in it, the granite, the oxygen, the nitrogen, and so on, by using the different magnetic fields. Once we had that theoretical base, then it was possible to move forward with biolocation, and with colleagues such as Nigel Hughes and the other members of the group, we moved into archaeology. We're able to do an enormous amount on archaeology and produce 250,000-word treatise on it, and we were able to produce a book giving the whole scientific background of biolocation and the experiments that actually prove the reality of the different forms of magnetism. And then we found ourselves not looking down into the ground at our archaeological past, but looking up into the cosmos, looking at perhaps where one day humanity will actually land up.
Want to take it on?